All right, happy Saturday, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and do a little test broadcast here. I'm on 3.0 version of my microphone, so I'm back using my walk around headphones because I like those because they go around the back of my head and there's just a simple mic in front of my face. I don't have to have that gigantic XLR mic in front of my face while I'm trying to broadcast. It just makes things easy. That way, my voice is not modulating up and down because the mic is a consistent distance from my face. So I've been kind of working towards being able to do that constantly. So hopefully the sound quality is pretty good here. So right now I'm running at about 90% of audio output. I don't have a jacked up 1200% like I do with the XLR mic. So let me know if the sound quality is good. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at a few things here today. So as I said, we're working into the weekend here, and we had a little bit of a exuberant spike, and I just really wasn't feeling that was going to become anything. So we're going to kind of further investigate what we could get here. So let's start with Bitcoin. Uh, this is kind of the narrative that we're going to work with here throughout this broadcast. So we could be finishing a session of MACD in red, could be rolling green. I don't believe that's necessarily the case. Now, I'm speaking broadly across the entire market here. I think we have to go into a second session of red. And the reason I say that is because this will time better, or it could be a shorter session of red here. Of course, I didn't draw that correctly, but it should go to at least about here. The reason I say that is because our blast off, and again, I have to kind of qualify everything that I say. Our blast off, our takeoff, our strong move upward shouldn't happen until the third week of this coming month, or of this month. I'm sorry, the third week of this month. That's going to be, I'm going to qualify that as being around about the 21st, 22nd, and forward. So we've got, let's move this to about the 21st. So we've got about that distance right there. If every one of these is a single candle, we have to kind of get a little bit more red. And again, as I've said before on last live thing, just because we're starting to lighten doesn't mean we can't blip back red. You can see very clearly that we can do that. These things are not always hard and fast, but I'm strengthened in my opinion about that because the biggest indicator I always look at is right there. And we have a very, very strong spread to the downward bias. Secondly, to that, we have a pretty good spread. I won't call this a spread. This is, we've never talked about this before, but I always tell you guys constantly we like to see that spread like that. That's not what we're seeing here. This is something slightly different. This is a zebra of another stripe. This is kind of a that. And as you can see, it's curling down here, but it's also going down here. Now, the overall sentiment of the flare is still open. So, I mean, this is where it gets a little confusing. You can see right there is really where the concern is. Now, see, that can blip and go up, closed, whatever. But we're still, by and large, we're still spreading. So I'm kind of hanging my hat on mostly on this indicator right here. And we'll see this same thing play out in other charts as we go through this. So generally, we have to kind of average these all together to see the sentiment that we're getting. All right, so the DMI here, Digital Moving Index, again, we're green under red, and we're still under purple. Now, these things can cross, uncross, cross, uncross. Let's go ahead and make that full screen here so we can kind of get a sentiment. So you can see we're as long as we're basically under this purple, blue's diving hard into the red again. As long as we're under this purple, we're still down for the count. So overall, this is not looking bullish at all. So I would call it 4.5 out of 5 indicators. All right. We're going to take a look at about, let's say, 6 or 7 of these things. So again, now here's a much clearer, the first thing that pops out at me, this is a much clearer Bollinger Band that is indeed much more flared, not curving at the top. Green below red below blue. We're 5 for 5 here. We're 5 for 5. Ethereum is not going up. You know where Ethereum's going? Ethereum's going right there, boys and girls, just where I told you it would when we were up here. It's going to go in that hole. Bet on it, or close to it. It's gonna hit this somewhere within this area here. So we are we are bear flagging pretty well, disjointed as it is. Um, Getting down here in this general area is not going to surprise me here. Probably by, well, here we are. what is it, 4 o'clock on Saturday. By midday to 7 p.m. my time on Sunday, we should very well easily be in this general area here on into Monday. So don't think we're going to have a very, very bullish finish or close to this weekend because it's just not likely. Um, all right, so I darn near jumped into this last night because I'm starting to really see a lot of news. It's like they're waking up the troops about this. So I'm watching these indicators. I know heart and soul, I know where I think this is going, but I'm starting to get a little freaked out by the good news that we're seeing. I kind of like shh, 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 don't say anything yet. Shut up, shut up. So, but we're still headed down here. Basically, I'm waiting to see a breakout of this green channel here. We'll get there. I'm very confident we'll get there because again, we're still seeing the bear flag or the bearish movement here. This would be the bear flag. We've gone a little bit far to be a bear flag, but nonetheless, we're in a downward channel, so we should continue. And I don't see a reason why we shouldn't at least probably hit. And again, that would match up to our most latest phenomena. Here's 50%, there's 75%. I'm telling you, early on, I got this vibe that I think it's going to be a new thing we're going to have to start spotting. We're going to have to start watching for those 75% moves, which is good because that'll give us a little bit more of a move on a prediction. So if we're getting a prediction of 100, whereas we used to be able to at least get 50% of it, now we can get 75% of it. So cool. But I think that the algorithms or the screw with you formulas have changed a little bit. And I'm not quite ready to go on the record to say that it's a rule yet, but I noticed it very, very early on. And for whatever reason, it rung true with me, and it seems to be working out quite a bit. So we will see if that continues on. However, in the case of this, I think we're going to probably be at least here. Honestly, I think I'm going to take a safety position with this. I'm not saying that we're not going to go lower because I do believe the whole market's going to go lower. So I never want to say that to confuse anyone. But I think I'm going to take a little bit of a safety position because I've only got like $5,000 worth of this stuff. That's not enough to really swing my fortune, anywhere I want to be in the future. So I might very well put in, 4x or 5x that just as a marginal marginal protection. Because again, at 5 cents, as I've said this many, many, many times, at 5 cents, I think it's a good price. This would be sub 5 cents. And again, I don't spend an awful lot of time talking about what these things do, what these coins do, but this coin, so we know XRP and XLM that's for international money transfer back and forth. This is let me speak a little more practically about this because I think a lot of you guys aren't as worldly and you don't deal in business, and sometimes I speak above your level and I don't want to do that. Let's say, for example, I order something from China, from Alibaba. We'll just really go out on a rail and say this. Let's say I order something from Alibaba. Well, right now, currently, I'm using a credit card to do that. And so when I do that, basically, what's going on in the back end is a whole lot of stuff you know nothing about. Visa, let's say I use my Visa. Now, my Visa basically pays that, but actually, they're not getting their money from Visa. What they're getting is I basically bought myself the right to get this, but Visa is doing a bunch of stuff on the backside that's swapping money back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to get that stuff into Chinese yuan or yen, and so they're not paying directly. Visa's not paying them directly. They're swapping one thing for another, and this is where you get your credit card fees. Now, whereas XDC will take all the effort out of that. Basically, I would buy XDC, they would get XDC, and then they could change it back into whatever digital currency they'll currently have at that point in time. But it's going to speed up international transfer, the transfer back and forth of money. It's also going to finance the shipment and ensure the shipment from point A to point B. So incredibly, as far as world commerce goes, I marvel at why this isn't just completely at the front of the entire X series of coins. But it's not. So good for us, bad for them, or whoever. And so take advantage of it. So anyway, being under a nickel. Um, it's a fabulous deal, guys. I can't even begin to, I don't have enough data yet, but to even forecast where this thing is going to be in a year, 2 years, 5 years, um, it's going to be in a nickel. I would not be surprised. Does anybody happen to know how many decimal points this thing goes out to the zero? I believe it goes one, two, three, four, five. I don't know if it goes out just five or if it goes out further, but I can tell you this. Um, I wouldn't be the least little bit surprised with inflation, with just the general expansion of our money and the price of everything, stuff like that. I'm gonna just spitball here. I wouldn't be the least little bit surprised to see this coin probably be in the excess of $10 to $25 in 3 to 5 years. I just wouldn't be. Will it beat something like a refinance? Difficult to say. I certainly would tell you that XDC has an awful lot more use case than refinance. So time will tell. But I will tell you, will this out accelerate something like XRP? I don't think it's the biggest dog in the pack, definitely. So I'm not gonna be bold enough to even hazard that guess and say yes. My feeling is no. But certainly anything under a nickel here, don't be crazy waiting for my bottom call. I believe firmly we're going to be down here in this area. But I mean, wouldn't you feel like a fool if it just almost got here and then turned, the glorious day it starts to blast, it takes off. You just don't know, or you missed that wick because you couldn't actively trade it or whatever. So safety positions on these cheapy cheap coins, even you McDonald's money people. I'm going to tell you this. I'm having a stream of consciousness here, so just kind of bear with me. I'm going to tell you this. I always kind of like to think, how does this apply to the big guy, to the middle guy, and to the McDonald's money people? You McDonald's money people, I want to speak directly to you. I think that you should. I truly think that you should probably consider and heed my words here. When we get down into, let's just call it this box, when we get down into this box right here, I want you to consider possibly, and it's on you to decide how much. It could be the whole paycheck, it could be part, don't spend the rent money, of course. We're not trying to be crazy here, but I think it would not kill you. We've got enough time between now and true blast off to go ahead and throw in on something. Get yourself a little something. Something you can look at, hold on to, know you got a future, whatever, because I want you guys to be participating in something that makes sense. I don't think that this is a bad investment at sub nickel. Um, for McDonald's money people because the upside is radically higher than the downside. So if we get this and eventually I do expect it to go down or whatever, but if it doesn't, stranger things have happened. If it doesn't, I got you on the boat and you're good to go. Now, what I'm saying is this: this is not your last McDonald's money paycheck or your Taco Bell paycheck or your whatever. You got yourself a seat on the train. And so the next check you'll buy down here or wherever we are. Dollar cost average, if you choose to want to be able to call it that, I don't consider that dollar cost averaging. I just consider it getting a place at the table. But you've got enough paychecks before we get to the grand event to go ahead and take yourself a safety position on this. I just want to make sure that I'm addressing this issue because, it's been a long, long, cold winter. There just hasn't been an awful lot for you guys, you smaller guys, to play on that has been secure enough to really want to throw down on. This one is. I have no problem with you guys doing this, and I think it's a really good idea that you should. So again, not financial advice. I haven't said that for a long time, but you know the deal. You got your big boy, big girl pants on. So, but I'll tell you what, you don't have to put the brown pants on because I don't think you're going to be shitting yourself worrying too much about what happens with this. So, okay, all right. Let's go ahead and get on to the next one. Hope my levels are doing well here. I seem to be just slight of clipping, so I think you guys will be pleased with the quality of this audio a little bit more than my last headphones. So I'm using Trex Air headphones, which are what truck drivers use. It's a Bluetooth type thing, and I have a tendency to wear them in the shower. They're somewhat, evidently not as much as I gave them credit for, but they're supposed to be somewhat waterproof, and I don't stick my head into the shower while I'm wearing them. But evidently some water might have got in the mic, or the mic might have just gone crappy last time. I don't know, but we swapped them out. Chase took them apart, couldn't figure out what was going on. I think we had some corrosion in the last mic or something like that. So this is brand new, fresh mic, so hopefully we're good to go, and I'll stay out of the shower with this one. So so much I'm not gonna be able to sing in the shower now. So disappointed. All right. So Theta, I'm gonna open a few of these because I kind of want to get a game plan together for what I'm going to talk about here. Let's talk about the X coins here first. All right, so I always kind of want to tell you guys where we're at with this. This is a pucker moment for those of you that are following this. I'll be real honest and candid. I don't like what I'm seeing here. It looks a little pumpy, and I don't want it to. I sold right here. I sold a bag that I didn't want to do. Could have bought it back. This is not worth me buying back. I would have at least got my stuff back, but it wouldn't have been a level up. So I was hoping for down here. Now, um, are we going to blast off? No, I don't think so. Now, here's the thing. T-Fuel, sorry, no, not T-Fuel. XLM is doing the same thing. So remember, I talked all the time about how you look at multiple charts. So let's look at multiple charts. Um, but how you look at multiple charts to get overall sentiment, because sometimes you can look at something and go, okay, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Let me get this out of the way here. And you can't get a real sentiment for what's going on unless you see comparable moving coins, because sometimes the little bit of the clue is in one chart, a little bit of the clue is in another chart. So here's XLM, here's XRP. I have no doubt in my mind we can very clearly see what the game plan is here. So again, this would indicate that we're not going to break out of this yet. And why am I so sure about that? Well, if we're going to go ahead and use TA, we've got a triangle here. We are not, when do we break out? We break out at the tip or we break out at 70%. We are at neither of those points right now. So we, in theory, should not break out right now, or break out and stay out. We can get tweezers and it can go right back up. Green is diving below red. Bollinger Band is flipping. The only thing bullish here is we're getting a pretty aggressive curve up. That doesn't necessarily mean we might not just move from here to here. It doesn't mean we have to blast clear off the charts. It just means that we're going to start trending upward. This is starting to kind of close a little bit, but hasn't. So let's start at the top again. Bollinger Band is still open to the upside, but not that much. Starting to close. So 2 points are kind of showing slight uptrend. This is not. This is not. This is kind of still mushy. So we're 2 for 3 strength. So anyway, again, what I'm kind of holding my hope on, or I'm hanging my hat on, is we're inside this triangle. We have not got to the 70% point, which is here, or the point which is here. So we, in theory, should not break out. If we did break out, we would break out to the flat side with an 85% probability. So we got all that going on. So let's take that story and apply it over here. What do we got going on over here? What we got going on over here is we got something that looks very strong. This is strong, strong, strong. Let me open this back up. Can't see my bubble very much. Let me darken my bubble up a little bit. All right. So you can see a very strong close on this. The bubble is starting to clamp close. So that means we're losing momentum to the upside, which is of course obviously why we got the red here. We have a very aggressive move up. Doesn't mean that this won't go like this and then start to separate again, because they do that. But currently in the here and the now, we look like we're starting to head towards closing. So we've got 1.5 to the downside. Here we're in a red session. We have not crossed anything. This is now here. See here, our RSI is starting to. We're in the purple, moving positive. This is a very positive. So we got a +1, neutral, 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 kind of a negative. So there's nothing about this that's very pumpy, so to speak. So where I expect is we're probably going to respect that line right there if we make any move. So we'll probably still be operating inside of that triangle. Now you see a comparison right there. So what I would tell you is I would expect to see maybe a move like that, and continue on in here for another, again, until until that 22nd or whatever. Now, that's scenario A. Scenario B is this. I was watching this last night. I was kind of thinking, where is it possible that we get anytime we get a giant blast off like that, the first indication, or at least anytime we get a blast off like this, the first thing I'm thinking of is the next thing we're going to see is tweezers, and it's going to go right back down. So the higher the blast, the more likelihood. Like something like this would have had me thinking the next move was going to go down if the indicators were mushy. Indicators were very strong on that, so that's not irrelevant. But what I'm saying is if you get these long things and you see mushy indicators, you can just about bet we're going to see tweezers. Now, this is a one-day candle, so this could still turn into tweezers. This thing could return right back down in here, right back down into this formation and continue right on down. It very well could. So I'm puckering a little bit right now, but I'm noticing a few things. We've got a little bit of a trend there, so we've got a little bit of a support running across there. So we're kind of do or die. We got some support right there. We've got a trend support right there. Sorry, and we've got very strong resistance right there. So you can see that really honestly, that is where all of the action is. So we're pretty much clamped in that box. So with the indicators being mushy the way they are, I'm not terribly concerned that this thing is going to blast off yet. And I'm speaking when I say this, I know a lot of you guys are holding this going, well, why I want it to take off. Some of us aren't on board to our satisfaction yet. That's what I'm saying. So still time on XRP. Not necessarily time to start going into panic mode and start paying 86 or 77 cents for these things because I just don't think that's the case. So I think that we'll probably, my overall sentiment on this is I think we still have, right now we're just in kind of a, newsy feel good thing that's been going on this week or whatever because XLM and XRP has been moving slight contrary to the market. We'll look at T-Fuel and Theta here in a second. You'll see a completely different scenario. But overall, if we look at this, let's do this. We look at the overall sentiment was down until we popped, and so we could return right back into it. So if you wanted to really look at the overall sentiment, we're kind of slightly neutral. We could go down quite a bit and still stay within that formation. All right. So for currently, basically, the call is still I'm still waiting this out. I'm going to be buying back in heavily here. I'm going to get my position back here, and then I'm going to reaccumulate. I'm going to additionally accumulate down in these lower, 30, 40, 20, 20, 22, 25 area. But I'm going to get back my position and about 20% when we get to about here. So that's my game plan here. All right, so XLM, same deal. Still waiting for that to basically fall out of bed. Now, if we want to take the typical TA here, this is a bit of a stretch, so don't telling you, man. This thing's there. We go. All right, you can see we can very easily come right come right back down to the bottom of that triangle. All things being equal. All right, sorry about the mess here. I'll clean this up and I'll zero in on this here just a little bit. So let's go ahead and get all that out of there. All right, so you can very clearly see what's going on here. You take all the spaghetti out. We've got a sideways motion. Now, sleeper? No, no. Theta's not a sleeper. Theta's never been a sleeper. But what we do is we do have a rolling average with a slight upward trend on it. All right, so let's hold that thought for just a minute and figure out where I put T-Fuel. All right, T-Fuel. This is defining the narrative for the week to come. We're watching this. This is where if you guys remember, this is the one day I'm sorry, this is Theta. That's T-Fuel I just showed you. This is Theta. And so this is defining the narrative for what I expect to be front running. Now, front running, I know you guys get so confused when I talk, so I got to kind of slow down and make sure everybody's on board with my thought process here. So let me give you the progression of logic here so that you can understand and get your dates correct. So what I'm suggesting to you here is around the third week, and I'm putting that as 21st, 22nd, right in that range, is when the start, not the day, the start of the uptick. So we can logistically, we can kind of say, or realistically, we can kind of say the start of the uptick, the strong uptick that I'm expecting, is going to start in the third week. That could carry on to the end of the month. So I want you to be very clear about that. It doesn't mean that on a Thursday in the third week of this month is when all the action is going to happen. It's going to be over and done. No, what I'm saying is it's going to start. It's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, on and on and on. So this is a one-day chart. There's going to be a progression of movement there, just like there is with this. So it's going to take a while. But I think the bottom is going to be in around about that time. Now, that's for Theta. Now, everything else, because Theta at this point in time seems to be front running the market, that could buy us a little bit more time. XRP could take a while to get down. Maybe it might still be going down when Theta's starting to get a little pumpy. XRP might still be moving down. XLM might still be moving down. XDC might still be moving down. Rest of the market might still be moving down. So we're watching Theta to let us know. Now, there's no hard and fast rule that demands that this is the truth. It's been the trend, and thus far, we can believe in it. So that's why I'm watching. And I'm watching Theta be about roughly as far as 10 days ahead, somewhere between 6 and 10 days ahead of everything else, generally speaking. Generally speaking. So you got to kind of watch this a little bit. You don't want to, rules are meant to be broken. But what I'm telling you is basically if Theta in the third week is going to take off, then probably going on into the early part of the fourth week, everything else might follow. That's my thought. I'll be watching this all along to see if that's the case. Some will follow, many will not. But so let's get back to this. So looking at this, so far, very, very pleased with what I'm seeing here. We did a long and short count. Let me define what you're looking at here. None of this is really important for you as far as charting. I just want to demonstrate how well this is working. So here is your short count. You can see that within that movement, we got a little bit of a short count respect right there. In the long count, we are following the long count trend down. So isn't that amazing how that works? So both things are starting to work in confluence right down there to the X. Now, again, I want to explain that where these lines are does not mean that it follows the line. It follows the trend. So the line, the AIs hate it when I do this, but this curve could be clear up here, but you would be referencing it. I just happen to have, I guess this is probably a good time to maybe explain. So these lines, these curves, what you're seeing is it is this tool right here, but Anubis is taking control of it. So I've had a few people that have probably looked at that going, well, that's just the tool that's in the trade view. No, it's not. What Anubis is doing is it's taking that and it's calculating the points and then dropping this automatically. So basically right now, you would be, well, let me give you a good example here. If you were to take, where the hell did I put that? Okay, if you were to take this and just put it, you wouldn't know how to place these things, or how high to go with them, how low to go with them, or whatever. It's just all speculation. So what Anubis is doing is it's taking all these statistical data points and dropping highs and lows and stretching, distances between. That's what Anubis is doing with these lines. So you are correct in the fact that this tool is available, but it's that plus much, much more. I'm working with this one as well, which is basically another one. I'm not going to confuse and add more spaghetti, but I do use this tool as well off screen. Basically, it's the same thing. It's what I use this tool more or less, which to my mind doesn't seem to be that reliable yet. So I'm still kind of working with that. We've got a couple other tools that I'm trying to integrate with some AI stuff, and time will tell. But I've got a Head and Shoulders tool that Head and Shoulders never seems to be exactly play out the way that it should. So just wanted to kind of point that out to people that, we're not following the line. Anubis will put the line down generally in the trend. But what I want to hip you to is the fact that don't think that it has to follow the line. It has to follow the trend. So this loop could be down here or it could be way above. But when it says it's going up, the crest is right here, then all the way down, you can say that basically it's going to be tracking. So I just want to make sure you guys understand that. But right now we have an overlay, so it is following exactly like it should. So I'm sorry to confuse anyone there. All right, so now let's get to this mess. Sometimes it's better if you just spread this out a little bit. All right. So last night I almost threw in on this. Kind of glad I didn't because I was looking at this. Now I took out the notation because that play is over. So if you remember, I had within this box I put bounce zone, and indeed we did get a bounce. Doesn't look like much of a bounce. It was in fact a pretty good bounce. It went 8 for what it was. Well, the bounce would have been into the box to the top of this would have been 15, 16%. I didn't play it. Nobody in the charts or nobody in the group played that, but the call was verified. It went deeply into the box, bounced out of it, and whatever. However, none of that really necessarily impressed me because I knew that I was going to want to buy this thing lower. So good on me for catching that, but it's not something I probably would have suggested any of you play, and I didn't suggest because I had a feeling it was going to go a little bit lower. And as you can very well see, we are stair-stepping down perfectly. We're following the trends down, so let's follow. So you can see we're following the trends down, and you can see we drop to the ultimate bottom of the long count here, or the short count here. So now where are we going? So now the trend is up, but something tells me that we're going to have a little bit of an adjustment on this. So we shall see. And by the way, these lines will readjust. Just like ISIS readjusts, occasionally if you guys come back to the charts, you might see that these lines have moved. So Anubis will move these just like ISIS moves the lines on the high and low count. So just also wanted to make sure you guys understand that. So going back to the fundamentals, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at a spread on the Bollinger Band. And we could very easily go into a second red session. We are below the purple, still good. Green, so we got one indicator for now, kind of, slightly above red. So we're 4 out of 5 indicators are suggesting down. So I could buy that. So basically what I'm waiting for here is I'm waiting for this ghosty arrow here to play out. I want to see this thing come down. Now what's likely to happen is if we're going to go ahead and we're going to follow the most recent protocol, we're probably going to come to 75%. And I can even make a case for that. I could see it right here. So if we go to 75% of this, let me show you something. Right over here is our bottom support. So my guess, if you guys want to play another bounce, if you guys want to play another quote-unquote sure thing, that's where you buy right there to catch another bounce, which would be, well, let's just call that 1460, 0.1460. That would be where you would buy it. And if you go over here, you can see it again. Right at the top of that is your support. And if you go over here further into this mess, you'll see right there, you can see that little shelf right there. There is support right there. So you will see at the 75% of that stroke right there, you will see a little bit of resistance. It'll come down, and it'll probably walk across that for a couple days, and it might go up a little bit. Now you might be able to pick up anywhere from, well, it'll resist off of that. So you've got a window of right in there to play a bounce. Let's check and see the distance on that. So you got a potential 6, 7, 8%. So if you guys are doing leverage, I hate leverage, you know that, but you guys that are KuCoin leverage people, that's probably a pretty sane play. However, I'm much more of a buy and hold and wait for the ultimate profit. So again, is this one for all the money? Am I pushing it all in? No, I'm all in on this blue line right here. So safety position maybe. You guys that have a little bit more money than McDonald's money might want to safety position this because 14-cent T-Fuel, guys, that is not a bad price because I told you, if you guys remember way back, I told you anything less than 25-cent T-Fuel is a bargain. We're in the bargain basement right now. Uh, Time will tell, or time will reward you greatly for this. Uh, so buying this, if this is like that old same old play. If you want to buy it and try and catch a bounce, well, if you get hung with it, hang on to it. There's no reason to cry or moan about ever paying 14.5 cents for T fuel. Now, when everything starts to turn down lower, as I expect it will, and I've been pretty clear about that, I do believe that we will be to a dime or slightly under. So um, if you buy in now, just because you got to get something going, or you got to be, turning your money or doing something with your free time or your boredom time, um, it's a reasonable casino bet. Reasonable, simply because the fluctuation is there, simply because the volatility is there, and because the reliability that you won't get hung ultimately with it is there. So I've always felt very good about T-Fuel as being the flip coin, because I've never felt that way with Bancor, never felt that way with Orchid, and I flip those things constantly. But this is one that I feel like, if I make a bad play, time will heal all wounds. So far, I haven't made a bad play, but if I do, or if you do, just got to wait it out. Wait it out. It'll be fine. All right, so we established that. We established that. Let's see what else we want to talk about here. VeChain. Now VeChain's starting to, looks like it's starting to, it's under, but it looks like it's starting to kind of revisit a little bit. Statically speaking, that looks like it wants to go up. But I'm looking at the market trends, so really honestly, what I'm looking at here, I gotta do another channel. I would say that our indicators are kind of suggesting we've got a pretty strong hook to the open side with this. I think we're going to see some down action. We're probably going to be coming down into this area right here. And what a marvelous price to be paying for this. So what I'm telling you is you're going to get another crack at this level right here. What a marvelous price to be paying for VeChain. Again, much like a lot of these coins, this is a McDonald's money play. I mean, really, you're going to have to wait for it. You're going to have to wait a couple of years for this to really get the full benefit of this. But I mean, you're going to be able to look back and go, man, I remember when I paid 3-4 cents for VeChain, and now here it is at 13, 14, $15. This one can be life changing, but it's going to take a little longer than most to really hit that ultimate payout. So the play on this one for you guys, it's so hard when you don't have an awful lot of money because you want quick results. I know that. I understand that. You just don't have the options that I've got, or some of these wealthier, diamond and platinum plus investors have got, because they can get the quick rewards. You can't. If you want to have that life-changing money, basically you have to kind of basically buy in, and time will reward you. This is probably time for a little bit of a story. Um, Related to real estate. When I was an early real estate investor, I bought my first house, and I made pretty good money, and I made, I believe I made $250 profit off of my first house. I was in rentals at first, and then I became a mortgage banker. Started to finance my own, selling houses on contract. I began to do it that way because I don't like plunging toilets at 3 o'clock in the morning. But neither here nor there to the story. So when I got that first house, it was great, but it wasn't life changing. That second house was greater, but still wasn't life changing. Then I hit that point where all my bills were paid every single month, and that money, it's kind of like you think of it, picture it as a bell curve. That's the way it's going to be with this. There's going to be a bell curve where maybe you have to sell off some of your VeChain. I'm speaking to McDonald money people and all of you really. Basically, if let's say you're holding a bag of VeChain, are you going to hold all that bag of VeChain all the way to the grand payoff? I would probably suggest that you wouldn't, or I would probably envision that you wouldn't. I know human nature enough to know very few of you will hold 100%. What you'll do is you'll either sell too early, and I pray that you don't, or you will pair it off a little bit, because life has a way of going, hey, give me my money, and you got to give it. And when the tax man says it's time to pay, or when the gas, or when you need diapers, or you need bread or whatever, VeChain doesn't look all that delicious compared to putting food on the table. So here's what I'm saying: is if you invest enough now that if you can suffer a little bit now and buy something like this, what the plan is and the play is and the expected way that you're going to handle this is you're going to sell off along the way, and hopefully if you don't sell more than you need and if you bought enough up front, you're going to have something when we hit that high and mighty price in the 3, 4, 5 years from now. But I fully expect that along the way life is going to hit you with a series of things. Your car doesn't work, you lost your job, you got to pay rent, your kid needs braces, whatever. Those things are going to happen because life will steal you blind. It just does. Did it to me many times. I'm just an aggressive person, so I go out and create another thing to stay ahead of it. I'm always running to stay ahead of life. But that's what I want you to understand is when I talk about selling this stuff off 3, 4, 5 years from now, I never want any of you to understand or to get the impression that I mean that nobody should sell along the way, because I know life just doesn't work that way. So back to my apartment thing. When I hit with the bell or the house thing, when I hit the bell curve is when I cleared 12 houses. And it happened pretty quick. Once I got to that 12th house, I was above my bills and I could take all of my money and I could start, paying stuff like that. It's not the same comparison to buying this stuff as it is because I had an asset that was kicking off residual profit every single month. But the point is this, once I got to the point where all my bills were taken care of, I could invest every bit of my money into an asset that will eventually grow. Because obviously I had something that was kicking out monthly income, but I also had an asset that was gaining in value as well. So real estate is different than crypto in that respect. But so how do you handle the difference between those two? Is what you do is pay your bills now, and skip going to the movies, skip going to ironically skip going to McDonald's, skip going to put that money. We talked about this in roundtable one. I think now we're getting down to it, guys. We're getting down to the point where the bullshit needs to stop, and you need to suffer a little bit. I'm going to be kind of preaching at you about this because this is not going to be sitting here until you get damn good and ready and you get your shit together and you get your plan together that you're going to be able to someday I'm going to have some money. That day is now. Now, 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 now. Did you hear me? Now. Capital NOW now. We're in the fourth quarter of the game. We're at the point where, if you're gonna invest for the future, if you're getting a little stomach acid and a little stress by what I'm telling you right now, good. Use that to your advantage. I'm saying it this way because I want you to have that stomach acid. I'm trying to impress upon you the urgency that you suffer a little bit. I don't mean suffer in a bad way, but I want to say do without. Those little things that you do, you buying that candy bar or, any number, whatever your little vice is, buying that 6 pack of beer, or whatever, do without. We've talked about this around table one. If you're if you're buying, we've talked about this many times. If you're buying a crypto that costs $1, and I know candy bars don't cost $1. You buy a crypto that costs $1 that I'm telling you is going to be worth $100 in the future, and you're buying a candy bar instead. What you're really buying is you're buying a $100 candy bar. So would you pay $100 for that candy bar? So here's what I'm saying. Suffer the loss of that candy bar. Suffer the walking away of that candy bar or that six pack of beer or that, going out to a movie on Friday or that extravagance that you don't need right now because it's raping you of your future. If you don't listen to me, I'm telling you, if you want to listen, if you want to hear how millionaires become millionaires, this is the biggest key to it. I've studied some of the wealthiest people on this planet. I know some of the wealthiest people on this planet. And they all this self-made guys use, if there's one principle I can teach you, it's this. Do without now, and you will be amazed at how that seed will grow. Even if a few of those seeds don't take root, you did what others won't do, so you get to have what others won't have. So that's your little preach for today. So I want to make sure that you guys understand it because we're running out of time, guys. Coming into fall and stuff like that is when these things are going to start to blast because, we've been looking at windows that just haven't quite opened since last September. And this foolishness and this nonsense is going to stop, and it's going to get real quick. And I don't want any of you sitting on the launch pad going, "Oh, I could have been on that rocket ship," because you could have been. And so listen, listen, listen. Do as I tell you. All right, so we're gonna, and I want to take a look at metals here real quick. Ooh, doggy. I'm feeling pretty damn good right about now because that's where I bought my major amount right there. So those of you guys that followed me in on silver, I mean, I was screaming. I hope to hell you guys were listening to me. This right here ought to illustrate that I know what I'm talking about. 13.5%. How many times have we seen a 13.5% run up in silver? It's been a while. I didn't have enough cash flow, so I bought some more right here. I'm up on all my positions, all of them. And I hope you are too. So I was screaming at the diamonds, I was screaming at the platinums, pretty much screaming all the way down to the bottom. Silver, 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 silver. And so are we going to see any returns down to these prices? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's not looking like it. Now, um, we're looking like we're prepped. This is a very classic load. Looks like we're getting ready to, that's probably a little bit more aggressive of a line that's actually going to happen. Let's just put it this way: we look like we're going to be probably banging the bottom of that trend here. So, still not in the overall perspective, still not a bad time to be buying silver. Wish you would have bought it down here when I told you. But if things are what they are, you didn't have the money, you didn't have the scratch to put together for $22.50 or 22.60 or whatever, you still got to pay more. Then do it. Then do it. This does not apply to you McDonald's money people. You need that quick ass paying lottery ticket. You don't need to preserve wealth you don't have yet, so silver's not your bag. But you guys that are over five digits, you damn well should be in some of this. All right. I didn't want to talk about Kyber. Kyber is really much like silver. It's just going absolutely bananas. We're watching this here. I want to see. I don't know what's motivating this. I've not paid attention to Kyber since I pretty much created this website. It was kind of an old school one. And it's not that I just don't follow it because it's just not sexy to me. Looking pretty sexy right now, though, isn't it? Let's see, what are we up? 276%. Oof, man. I'm not going to bullshit you and tell you that I saw that. I would have saw that coming because that was pretty out of the blue. So there's obviously some use case that's come on board with this thing. But we've had some slow progressive growth. It's been slow and steady. Um, so basically, now that this thing has proved itself, I would wait for a crash, and probably at the green line about $2.30, I think I would probably belly up and probably buy a little of this just to kind of play whatever's going on here, because it's certainly much like early Solana. It's looking pretty damn delicious. All right, so mover is not looking delicious. I I really don't want to see you guys playing this. I really don't. I don't. There's just this thing. It's not because of its tie to Rome. And I think we all pretty much knew that, everybody filing in, all of us is what did, the positive stuff. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right in here is when pretty much everybody was on board and onto Rome. So for whatever reason, but this has been separated from any Rome issues. Mover just by itself, it's just not doing anything, guys. It's trending down. I see it being down here before very long. When we get into a crash scenario or a hard correction thing, we're going to be back into this channel easily and then probably below. So I don't see any upside potential for you guys. I don't see any spikes. We caused these here. I don't see any spikes. I don't see anything that's really necessarily very productive. If it's going to go up, it might go up to maybe. You've got a little resistance at about 72. I think your high water mark might be about 72 and a half cents. Um, if we do turn and go up that high, I think I would probably be pulling the trigger if you're in profit. Even if you're slightly not, I would probably be getting out of it, because just look at this. I mean, there's nothing here that should be making, and this is not a sleeper. This is not a sleeper. Um, so I wouldn't be throwing any cash at this and hoping this one to be the grand turnaround for you, because it just don't look to be the case. All right, now NEM is just something that's just kind of come on my radar. Just kind of get these little senses that I better start paying attention. I'm watching this to fall out. Nothing I want you guys buying just yet. I just want to kind of get you guys used to looking at NEM again, because we haven't talked about it for a very, very, very long time. Let's go ahead and get the trash off here. Um, Not a three wave, not a head and shoulders, not anything. This is just gone down. Now you could kind of say this is looking like it's going to start being a sleeper, but sleepers don't usually have these giant runs beforehand. So we're gonna have to go. But I want to watch this because I'm just having a feeling there's going to be some money to be made here. So I'm just getting you used to looking at this thing. And the reason why I'm showing you this is I'm getting you used to remembering what the chart looks like, so that when you see an anomaly pop up, you don't need me to tell you that things are looking different, because you can remember that you've been looking at this for a while. So just know that I'm watching it, so I think you should be too. But my first move, my first order of the day I'm watching for, I want to see it fall out of this channel and fall into here, which I think it will. Um, if things go from bad to worse for the entire market, we very well could be in this general area right here. And ultimately, I think we will be. If we get down to that level, then it might not be bad to buy, because you're looking at a nickel. You're looking at a nickel to 2 cents, 3 cents, 3 cents to a nickel. Um, but again, don't go hard and heavy or hot and heavy on this, because we don't know the future of NEM. But NEM, if I'm not mistaken, it has been a great number of days since I've put any research into this. If I remember correctly, this NEM has something to do with Chinese financial systems. So that might be a good thing, might not be a good thing, but just be aware, know what you're buying. Don't just buy something because there's a cute icon, or it's moving well or whatever. Know why you're buying this. Know your exits before you take your entrance. Do your due diligence, whatnot. But now's the time to be looking into them and understanding what it is, so that when the opportunity presents itself, oh yeah, I know what it does. I feel comfortable with it, whatever. But right now we're watching, so I wouldn't probably even consider getting my wallet open for anything less than a nickel, for anything more than a nickel. So just be watching for it, because once we get a little confirmation here, I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. We're going to be coming down here. Now Algo's treating us really well, really well. We're getting ready. Speaking of breaking out, we're going to be coming down. So simple TA takes you right down there. So we've hit every one of these so far, every one of these arrows so far. So once we break out of this deal, now we've got what, about another week or so of market down, week, maybe 2 weeks of down market. We could very well get down into this area here. We could possibly, with some aggressive spikes, maybe hit my floor. So assuming the 75%, let's go ahead and redraw that. Assuming the 75% of stroke is in play, that would be your buy zone right there. Anything below 50 cents, 51 cents. Anything below 51 cents. Now, that's in the short term. In the long term, I would be buying everything in the floorboard, peeling up the floorboards to scrap everything I possibly can to buy. Not going to hold my breath on that just yet because we're quite a ways away from that. That's the ultimate move. That's a 57% move. In the here and the now, in the next couple of weeks, it's very possible we could tag down another 30% and tag off the top of that box. So when I draw these boxes, guys, I always want to be very clear. I'm not just talking about in the box. I'm talking about at the box. Some of you guys are old schoolers, been with me for a while, know exactly how that works. We got 3 zones to a box: top of the box, in the box, bottom of the box. So when you see these boxes, don't assume in the box is where you want to play. If it hits that box and you get the vibe it's time to buy, then damn it, buy it. Don't wait for movement deeper in the box. Anything having to do with this box is an opportunity to buy. If we tag the top, buy. Go in, buy. Hit the bottom, certainly buy. And that's true of all charts. All right, so Populous, we have a ping right there. That's exactly where I expected that to go. So she's being nice and playing by my rules. So are we buying Populous? No, but I will point this out to you. That is bots, 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 bots. Very much. Look how straight that line is. That is nothing human about that. So that means they're getting us set up for something. Something. They're moving this, they're moving the pieces of the puzzle into place. They're moving this where they want it to be purposely. So what does that mean? I don't know, but I can predict it. I did predict it. So I want to be buying in this zone. Will we get there? Pretty darn clear we're going to get there. So from there, to go to the bottom of that would be that 40%. There's the Anubis call right there as well. So anywhere, again, you can kind of call that zone the same as a box. We'll go ahead and make that a box just to kind of keep my nomenclature correct here. Hold on. Sometimes I do these rough circles, and I know it drives you guys nuts, but there you go. All right. So anywhere in that box, you have my permission to go ahead and fire at will, and hold. This is the attempt or the gameplay, the mission here with this is you buy it, and you're going to have to live trade it. So if you're going to buy this, you have to keep it open on your screen and ready to go because I mean it'll just and there's the spike and you better take it because it's not going to hang around until you get darn good and ready. So once you buy this, kiss sleep goodbye because you're going to be watching for a move. However, I'm fairly confident that when we strike the bottom of this, I think that we're going to probably start trending up, generally speaking, to probably at least about there. So, if you don't catch that ultimate spike up or whatever, there's still some pretty good money to be made right in that general area there. So don't sweat that necessarily you're going to buy it and never get an opportunity to cash out because I think we're getting close to the bottom of this. It's just my gut feeling. But again, this is trade bag stuff. This is not the rent money. Don't ever, ever, ever go too deep on Populous. I know with the way this thing swings, there is a an ease that there's a belief that could come that you could basically just throw down, go all, push it all in on this thing when it spikes like it normally does. Hey, whoopee, I just made 30, 40, 50%. It can't happen. It does happen often. But there's the other side that could take another leg down and take all your money with it, and you could be sitting on it for months and months until it finally gets back to your par level. So let's not do anything stupid. Um, Only bet responsibly. And it is a bet. I'll go ahead and lock that in, by the way. All right. Now, I know a couple of you guys, and I've said this many, many times before, I'll just keep repeating it. So we're respecting my trend line here. We're respecting my stop line here. We're getting ready to fall through. So within the next couple of days, you can very clearly see what we're doing here. We're working basically inside of this triangle right here. So at any point in time, probably here at 70%, which would be right about there, we're going to fall down. Now, is it time to buy? No, it's not time to buy. I don't think I would be buying. I know a lot of you guys that are smaller people that want in on Matic and stuff like that. It's pretty clear where I want you buying. Don't buy anything below or anything above that white line right there, that white zone there, which would be 90 cents, 90, 91 cents. Anything above 90, 91 cents probably doesn't make any sense, especially for you smaller money people. But if you can contain yourself or control yourself down here in the 72 cents, down here in the 60 cents, anything basically below 90 cents is good. But the deeper you go, the better, sweeter your reward if you can master your patience. So just a waiting game, guys. We're getting there. And you can see if you're looking at the down wave, you can see that we're following it just beautifully. We tracked up and we're going back down. We went down a little bit. We're tracked up a little bit. So basically we're just waiting for a down wave to complete. All right, so let's talk about Shiba first. Always talk about Shiba first. So are we still following? Are we still respecting my three wave? Yeah, I think we are. I think we are. Let's get all that. Yeah, I think we are. If we look at this, there's always anomalies in the mix a little bit. But there's one, there's two, there's three. Sometimes we get a little bit of a spike. This is man-made, whatever, but we're still generally trending down. If you look at this chop is to the down. Now, here's where I really want you to zone in on. Look at the green. Starting to dive below red, below blue. This is neutral. We have a very thin amount of MACD. That's nowhere close to this. This is diving. So this is negative. This ain't looking too strong. So we're 3 out of 5 indicators. This is starting to look like it's going to flare. Right now it's kind of going into, if you ever hear me refer to this as tube, that would be flare. This would be compression. Tube is just that. So it's starting to kind of go into a tube formation or a neck formation, meaning it's setting up for the next thing. So if you ever hear me refer to a tube or a neck, that's what I'm talking about. So it's kind of going into a neck, meaning it's probably going to wait until it hits this pulse marker right here, which will be tomorrow, Sunday. Make sure it's Saturday today. Sunday, and then down she goes. So, and we'll probably walk along the top of this, and then eventually probably fall down inside. So, sorry, Shiba fans. Doge, not much better. Doge is going to do the same thing. It's basically going to walk along here, and eventually it's going to drop. Now, Zil, we talked about this on the last live stream. Zil, you can see it's losing strength right there. We're going into that is a neck right there. See how the band just stopped and went into a throat position right here where it's neutral. It's waiting to do its next thing. So it's big drop here, slowed down, turned into a neck. Now it could get into another big drop or whatever. But will this thing pump again? No. That was a sleeper. That was a sleeper. And boy, did she run. She ran for a number of days, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ran for 5 days, 6 days, actually. Don't normally see that with a sleeper. So No surprise, it's giving a very telltale give back, or a very stereotypical give back. So it's going into a neck formation. So it's going to bleed out. It's going to bleed out. It's going to come back down to this dual AI line here. It's already kind of almost flirted with it. It'll come down to the dual AI line from here, probably go down even lower down to the red line. So if you guys got out of Zil with profit, good on you for watching this. I mean, I've given this no love. Well, I was right up until this point. I had literally turned my back on this, but I was telling you way back here, Zil does not have anything going for it because it didn't, and I was right through the entire thing. And then somebody took the opportunity to turn, to a whale came in here and dropped on this thing, and I just wasn't watching it, so I'll own up to that. But I was right in the fact that this thing has. So I do not. So I'm going to go back and give you another prediction or another statement on this. This is going to all get given back, all going to get given back. What you're going to end up seeing is you're going to end up seeing a continuation of this. So this is going to come down here at some juncture in time. And I made a case for this. If you want me to, I can probably extrapolate on that a little bit more. But the highlights of it is this, guys. Zil is a how would I put this in a way that dumbs this down a little bit? Zil finances a lot of younger people's websites. Do you know a lot of younger people with jobs? Okay, then let's carry that forward a little bit. Younger people have no jobs. That means younger people have no money. That means they spend no money. That means they don't frequent the websites and spend the cash that drives Zil, that gives use case to Zil, blah, blah, blah. So this, and I reasoned through this, and I was right. So what we just saw here, great, wasn't something that could have been predicted, other than the fact that it was turning into a sleeper. But if you're in profit in right now, I'm telling you right now, you better pull it off the table. All right, so still watching my sushi. Still watching my sushi. So again, I showed you where I think this is going to go over the next week or two, something like that. So this is where I took my original position, and of course, obviously, where I got to get out of. So I how would I want to say? I lessen my position, so I need to be clear up here in the $9 range to break even and throw a $2,500 on top of the mix. I'm perfectly fine holding this and stuff like that for right now. But if for you guys that got in or want in, or you guys that want to buy in now or whatever, don't buy in now just yet. But I think what we're setting ourselves up for here is it's going to go a little bit lower. I think she'll probably go down to here before we have our market turnaround. We're going to squeeze into this, and we have to get past this and past this, and then through a series of resistances, and then we'll work our way up. But if you were to buy in down here when we get to the bottom here this week, you could be looking at potentially 21%, 21, 22% right there. So when we get down to this bottom resistance, so you guys that are fresh into sushi, this is your buying opportunity right here. And that price would be about $2.75. Would I throw good money after waiting stalled money? Um, given sushi's history, given its stability, giving it, or not stability, that's a poor choice of words. Given its use case and its length and its staying power, I might. I still am more inclined on my gambly, risky money to be throwing it on T-Fuel because I know I could sleep better. But if I was looking for something else to probably play, that would be a pretty attractive buy right there, I think. All my sketches I got to clean up here. All right. All right. So we trended up and we broke trend. So we should be peaking and we're not. So something starting to turn on Dent. Um, this is big, guys. We follow this wave so beautifully for months, And now we've hit a point where, Anubis might retrack and redraw this thing pretty soon, so I wouldn't be surprised about that. But we have broke long count and short count, or long count and short count trends. We should be trending up. We should be probably the line. We should probably be clear up here, or at least right about there by now, and we're not. We're actually diving. So um, Dent might finally be ready to finally give us what we've been waiting for forever and ever and ever. We'll take a look at Reef because Dent and Reef tend to track together. Let's go up and have a look at that. Maybe I can pick up a little bit more intel off of Reef. Sometimes Reef will tell me what Dent's going to do before Dent's going to tell me what's going to do. Yeah. Um, Same thing. Okay, now let's zoom in on this here. So if you look at the long and short count, or you look at the long count on this one, the long count on this one's saying that we're still got to go down. So don't mean to confuse you guys, but so we broke out of the pattern here. This is doing the exact same move as this. So highly likely that we're going to be seeing a downturn on Dent. Where to? We're probably going to come into this green box. Probably going to come in the green box. We're going to ping pong along here for a little while, but I think we're getting real close to being down here on this green box. Again, we've got just a massive amount of resistance right there, a massive amount of support that we've had forever and ever and ever. Uh, we can't keep testing that level and holding. Eventually, we're going to break through the glass floor and we're going to drop. So when you see this thing sniffing around and touching the top of that green box, don't buy it. Just wait. Now, when it goes into the box, then you want to buy it. Because I think we'll see some ping pong action on that there. But there's a possibility that, once we hit this again, we'll come through it because we had, count them up how many times we've struck the top of that box. Well over 15 times. And so eventually, but again, I should probably change the color of that. We're watching for that. Let's make that yellow. Just There we go. All right. So we're watching for the green zone because this is the promised land. This is where we want to be, right in here. Ultimately, on a wick. However, I'm telling you that I'm buying personally on this ISIS line, which is this right here, 0.00155, if you want. And the reason why is because we have a call right there too. Now, Reef, again, got that one clearly marked. I'm going to be loading up both hands on that one. All right. Want to take a look at fandom here real quick. So like I told you, I've been told to start watching this, so I'm watching. And again, I told you that I was waiting for this thing to fall out of this trend line. We've got a very strong, hard arc down, so it's going to happen. We're just waiting for it. Just monitoring things along. Anybody trading Civic? You guys doing Civic? I know Domain was doing Civic for a while. I just never paid that much attention to it. It's just kind of an also ran coin. I don't see anything here and there necessarily grabbing my attention though. For those of you that are watching this that give a damn, you're looking at a trend right there that we have to break. I'm just sniffing around here, just getting some ideas, so bear with me. Yeah, a lot of these are shaping up for the drop, guys. So it's going to be drop week, I think. Energy Web's still a little bit pricey. I don't know if I mentioned this on last live stream. I'm not going to get into it yet, but I do think we are at a triple wave. When we strike the bottom here and we test the bottom of this, I think there's money to be made on Energy Web, even though it has been a lot more expensive than this. It used to be up there, $20, $30 or $25. This is not a buy and hold coin for me. I've explained what I think this coin is going to be good for in the future. I'm not looking at it from that perspective. I'm just trying to make money on coins. But that being said, when we come down here to the, let's just call it sub $4 range, I think that, let's go ahead and make a trend line here. Let's just call it that. When we come down, we strike that line right there. Yeah. When we come down to this line right here and hit this, I think making a purchase on that to be able to catch a bounce might be a semi-intelligent thing to do. Uh, this is a, if I remember correctly, a Coinbase coin. So see if I can find you a sell point here. So you got a window right there to sell in. Not saying it won't bounce higher, but if you want to go with the sure thing on a bounce, you've got from the line to that resistance right there at 68%. Don't think it's going to go that high. I would probably suggest to you to maybe be bailing out at about the 35, $40 return. Go for the sure thing. Don't go for the big kill. That's when you get nicked, unless you can put a stop loss underneath it. Ultimately, if you can stomach to watch the thing gyrate up and down, because it does, you can pick up down here, and with time, yes, indeedy, she will go to right here. She will go right there. If this is a triple wave playing out the way that it should, this is where it demands that it tops out at for a triple wave. Where it goes from there could go even higher. Just depends on where the market is at that particular point in time. But if you were to have bought at that point in time, gone to here, that's 133 and 135%. Not bad. But guarantee you, you're going to have some pucker moments and a pretty good amount of stomach acid watching it happen, because this thing does fluctuate a lot up and down. Still, don't believe you'll get hung with it in the longer range. But as for me, times are too uncertain right now to hold anything long term, in regards to this. So if I see those 20s and 30s, man, not every day you see that stuff. So just grab it, take it off the table. They can't take it from you if you take it first, right? No, IOTA, same thing. We're going to fall into that box right there when it does. Now this is an ISO coin, so this is one I would, as opposed to an energy web, I would probably suggest that you jump on this one first, because if you get hung with it, good. It'll do you just fine. ISO coins are going to do you just fine. But we've got to get down here into this top of this box or in it first. All right. Well, I think I've babbled enough here, guys. Thank you very much. Did this as a recording because I just wanted to test out my new mic. So hopefully my mic levels are good and everything's like that's working. So I really would prefer to use my mic here so my voice isn't fluctuating up and down, because I know it's annoying when I move around and I get too far from my mic. So thank you very much. I will talk to you guys later. So until later, be safe, be good, and be good at it. Peace and hair grease, baby.